Welcome back, everyone. This week in Level F, we're going to be working on lessons 125 through 128. You will need worksheets 106 through 109, the practice sheet 16, a ruler, the math balance, the math card games book, and the corner cards deck. Lesson 125 does have a correction, so if your book was printed before October 6th of 2020, please follow the link in the description. In this lesson, we will work with negative coordinates. The warm-up is the first section on practice sheet 16. There's an informational section at the top of worksheet 106 that your child needs to read in order to be able to answer your oral questions from the lesson book. The materials section in this book does not list a ruler for this lesson and the next several, but your student will need one or another type of straight edge just to connect the dots on the graph. Let's look at problem number 3.
Okay, so the reason why I'm picking on problem number 3 is your student might not see exactly what's being asked for. In the previous problems, all they're doing are plotting points. So this says for problem number 2, a negative 10 and 0. So that would be over here, a negative 6 and 5, so that would be up there. So these are just plotting points. But now we have 3 points of a parallelogram plotted here on this chart. And your student needs to pick a 4th point to complete the parallelogram. And then name the coordinates of all 4 points. So what are the coordinates? For example, what is the coordinate for this one? This would be negative 1, 1, right? So negative 1 on the x-axis and up 1 on the y-axis. All right, so your child has a couple of choices. We can either plot a point over here to complete the parallelogram or over here. And the way they figure it out is find out what is the distance between these 2 points. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they would move over 4 to the right or 4 to the left on this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, there's a possibility for a parallelogram. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, here's the possibility for another parallelogram. So if your child is struggling with this, I would actually point out one of these points and say, all right, well, the way I'm going to figure it out is I want to know the distance between these 2 points, and I'm going to put a point right here the same distance away. And then I would erase it and say, can you find another point on this line that would also make a parallelogram? And hopefully they would find this point over here. Then they have to find the area of this parallelogram. So remember that area is found by multiplying width times height. We already know that it's 4 wide because that's how we found out where to put the points. And it's 3 high. So the area of this parallelogram or this one is 12 square units.
Okay, after your child completes the worksheet, ask the in-conclusion questions and play either the negative corners game, which is S10 in the math card games book, or the top and bottom corners game, which is S11. In lesson 126, we will learn about the Cartesian Coordinate System. Once again, you'll want a straight edge or ruler for this lesson. Go ahead and ask the oral warm-up questions and then have your student read the information section on worksheet 107. Ask the clarifying questions from the lesson book and discuss the Cartesian system of positive and negative numbers on both the vertical y-axis and the horizontal x-axis. Have your student complete the worksheet. Notice that there's an optional activity in the explanation column on the right. It doesn't take much time to complete this optional part, and most kids find it fun to add the details to their drawing. Go ahead and ask the in-conclusion questions and choose either game S10 or S11 like we did in the last lesson. In lesson 127, we will graph equations. A straight edge or ruler is needed for this lesson as well. Ask the oral warm-up questions and then have your child read the information on worksheet 108 and ask what the equation is. Let's look at problem number 3.
Okay, so here we have problem 3. It says there are 2 common temperature scales, Fahrenheit F, and Celsius C. To convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, use either formula. Fahrenheit equals 9/5 Celsius plus 32, or Fahrenheit equals 1.8 Celsius plus 32. And then plot the points on the graph and connect the points. So your child should go ahead and fill in what C is for each of these into the equation and figure out what the Fahrenheit is. So 9/5 times 0, which is what Celsius is here, plus 32 is going to be 32. So 0 Celsius is 32 Fahrenheit. Now we can do 10 degrees Celsius. So the 5 and 10 cancel. So you're left with 2 times 9 is 18, plus 32 is 50. So here we have 32, then we have 50. The next one is going to be 68 and then 86. And the rest are filled in for your student because it goes into negative numbers. So then they're going to plot those coordinates here. So for example, we have 0, the x-axis is C, so we have 0 and 32, or we have 10 and 50. Now, the reason why I chose number 3 is because it has an interesting pattern, and the student will notice that actually all you have to do is add 18 to the previous Fahrenheit answer, and you're going to get the correct Fahrenheit answer, as long as these numbers are going up by 10. That's not something that you need to point out, but it is an interesting pattern, and your child will probably discover that.
Okay, go ahead and ask the in conclusion questions and play S10 or S11 again. In lesson 128, we will make equations on the math balance. The warm-up reviews how the math balance works to make 10. And if you're having difficulty seeing how many weights are on a number in the pictures in the lesson book, just look at the equation. So for example, 6 times 2 means that there's 2 weights on the sixth. So sometimes those weights are a little difficult to distinguish in the picture itself. Let's take a look at example 3.
Okay, so problem 3 says that there are 2 weights at the 1, 3, and 5 on the right side. So here we have 2 weights on the 1, 2 weights on the 3, and 2 weights on the 5. Okay? And then it says that there is a single weight at the 10 on the left side and at the 6. And the question is, where do I have to put another weight in order to make this balance? So if we have 16 on this side and we have 10 plus 6, so that would be 16. So we have 2 times 5 plus 2 times 3 plus 2 times 1. So that's 18 on this side. And we have 10 and 6 on this side. I would have to put this weight on the 2, and that will balance. Okay, so then my corresponding equation would be 10 plus 6 plus 2 equals 2 times 1 plus 3 plus 5. This could also be written the same on the left side, 2 times 1 plus 2 times 3 plus 2 times 5. So this is more efficient, but if your child writes it this way, it's not wrong. Go ahead and have your child do the first 4 problems on the worksheet, and then we'll discuss moving a weight. So let's look at that section. Okay, so in the moving a weight section, the instructions say to have the child place 2 weights on the 6, 1 weight on the 2, 1 weight on the 4 on the right side, and 1 weight on the 10. And to write the equation. So the equation in this case would be 6 times 2 plus 2 equals 4 plus 10. Now you want to get rid of this 2. So we take this 2 off. What do we have to do to the 4 to make it balance? We need to move it down to the 2. And now our new equation is 6 times 2 equals 2 plus 10.
Okay, well, I hope that wasn't too difficult to see with the lighting. Have your child finish the worksheet and answer the in conclusion questions. Finish up this lesson with either game S10 or S11. And that's all for this week. I hope that you have a great one, and I'll see you next time.